Hi there. This is Ann Mossop here from the Next Steps Employment Center at Downsview. And today we're going to be talking about networking your way to your next job. Now, I know a lot of people get kind of irritated and some people get excited when it comes to the word network, but I'm going to really get down to basics and just talk about the basic theory behind it. I know in the past, whenever I've been job searching, even to getting the job that I now have, it was through networking. It was through being recommended by people that knew me to other people. That's how a lot of times it happens, because better the person that is known, a known commodity, than somebody that's a total stranger. And so networking is definitely very important to your job search, but it's also the most underutilized method of connecting with employers out there. It's hard to know how to change your mind. We know that the statistics show it. And even if you ask yourself, going back, probably in a lot of cases, somebody recommended you. And that's a networking opportunity. So, meep, meep. There's the Roadrunner, and there's Wile E. Coyote with an anvil on his head. So this is me, meep, meep, and I'm telling you that you need a reality check, because what you're doing isn't working. And if you're not hearing anything back, definitely you need to change. So when we take a look at this model, I know it's kind of hard to read, but on the left-hand side, we have how an employer looks for people. And on the right-hand side, we have how people look for work. And it's pretty clear right from just the diagram itself. In the red going down, employers go first to seek within and see if anybody is promotable. Maybe somebody's been part-time, or maybe somebody was they're under contract. Better the person they know. So they're going to take a look internally first. And if you're not on somebody's radar, yeah, they want to hire somebody whose work they've seen. There's lower risk. Number two is using proof. Job hunter who brings what he or she has and has the skills that are required. But it says using proof, showing up with samples of your work or sending samples of your work, engaging people before an opportunity arises, using a best friend or a business colleague from the past. All the time when people are coming in here to the center, once they get into networking and they connect with their old colleagues and friends from other jobs, it opens up different avenues to them. Number four, using agencies. Again, employers trust agencies. And yes, they do get a fee for hiring through an agency. Why wouldn't they? They're not there to do it for free. You are getting something out of it, and so is the employer. The employer, in a lot of cases, doesn't want to take the risk of hiring someone full-time right now. So, if you're going through a recruiter, it could revert back up to the number one, where you become a known commodity once you're working in that company. And who knows, another opportunity or a better opportunity could come up. So I always say working is better than not working. Number five, using an ad they placed online or in a newspaper towards the end, and using a resume, even if the resume was unsolicited. If the employer is really, really desperate, they'll start combing through those resumes. But when they say, oh yeah, we'll keep it on file, it really doesn't open the door. The door doesn't continue to be open if you see other opportunities. So yeah, they hold it on file. Do they check it? No, it's not really a place they go to look. So we're going down one side, the employers are looking one way, and on the other side, on the right-hand side, this is the job seeker, totally opposite to how an employer looks. So, I mean, here is proof right in front of us that we need to change our strategy, and we need to engage people more in order to network. The reality is no one's going to run after you to give you a job, and no one is going to hand you a job. If you're an engineer, even in our environment, expectation from an employer is an engineer can get his own job. He doesn't need somebody to hold his hand and help him. In that sense, recruiters are helpful because an employer goes to the recruiter to fill the position. So just remember, it takes effort. And networking is quite simply people just talking to people. You're trying to create win-win connections to produce some strong connections. Give more than you get is sort of the principle behind network. It isn't take. How can you help me? What can you give me? It's also thinking in terms of what you can contribute back to society at large, or how you can help that other person in a different way. I always say working is better than not working. Activity beats inactivity every time. And of course, employers get concerned over time if you haven't worked for a long time. Quality of work over quantity, definitely. Sending out 100 resumes and not getting any response means absolutely nothing. You've got a zero response. If you improve the quality of your work, if you're really savvy and smart about how to do your resume, how to make it through applicant tracking systems, how to feature what employers are looking for, then chances are you don't have that knowledge and you need to tap into our webinars or workshops, and certainly into individuals like myself, the employment specialist at your location, and get the help you need. But the problem is people don't even think they need help. The point being, if you're not successful, if you're not getting interviews, you're not successful. So you need to reach out, because we're almost 2 years, a year and a half into the pandemic so far. What's holding you back? Is it your circumstances? Even so, chatting with us can help you to make better decisions. This guy looks pretty beaten up. And that's because he's not really doing an effective job search. He's sitting online all day and he's not hearing anything back, or what he is hearing is negative. So I don't think he really understands what it means to conduct a job search. So let's go through what some of the expectations are if you're going to be successful. And yeah, you can argue with me, but I've been doing this for a very long time. And I think I understand the market, even the current market, and what kind of effort it takes to get a really good job, one that you really want. First of all, the time that people spend at their job search, it should be a minimum of 25 hours a week. And no, it's not sitting on a computer in front of a computer until you fall out of the chair. It also extends into networking. So remember that 25 hours a week, and even that time you can schedule and pepper it through the week at different times around your other priorities, and you can still conduct a job search. Job search can be 24/7, so you don't necessarily need to pick Monday to Friday. You could do it on a Saturday or a Sunday if you're a single person. Definitely if you're networking with friends and family, the weekends are the best time to connect. So it just brings us back to, what is your strategy? Do you even have a strategy? If it's just sitting at the computer until you fall off, not really a good strategy. And how's that working out for you? Are you getting feedback on your resume? Do people tell you? Expert people, people who know and are professional and do this for a living, like me, Ann Mossop? Yeah, ask me for feedback. And I will definitely give you the feedback and the support that you need to be successful. The other thing that's really, really important is, and this always seems to elude some people, the word job target. Well, it's a job and it's what you're targeting. So it's the title of the job. What is your job target? I don't know. Well, good luck with that because you really have to, you can't design a resume if you don't know what you're targeting. So if you're in that situation, then my recommendation would be target customer service. There's a customer service element to every single job. And then as you move through the journey of your job search process, you can adjust it and make changes as you go along. But you have to know what you're targeting, and you can't have 10 things that are completely different that you're targeting. You need to narrow it down because that's what employers are looking for as well. People who are committed to the job when they are hired, which means you have to do some research. You have to do some heavy lifting. You can't just sit on the couch or watch Netflix, apply for one job a day and expect to be successful. It's just not going to happen. So think in terms of who needs somebody with your skills and put your hands on the steering wheel and start by identifying 10 companies who need somebody with your skills. Now, there's a place to start, and we're going to hit this later on, but we'll come back to that. You attract the message that you send out. So if you're using your same old resume and you're making a change to your job and you can't understand why people keep contacting you with the job title, I would say I'd take a look in the mirror first. What is the title on your resume? What is the messaging in your resume? If you're targeting something different, or even if you're targeting the same thing, it's who we have to please, who has the power, who has the bag of gold. It's the employer. So we need to attract the right employers, and we need to make sure that our messaging, our resume, our cover letters, everything is of the highest quality. And what is your message? What is your brand? We hear about brand all the time, but when I sit down with people, I'm not seeing evidence that they even understand brand. So if you're not understanding how the market's working, especially during this period of time, a lot of people are jumping ship and making changes to their jobs now during COVID because it's an opportunity to make a change. And while you're sitting back waiting for the market to open, other people are jumping in and going. Are you fishing with a fishing rod? How many fish can you catch with a fishing rod? I love the fish. Or are you fishing with a net? You need to fish with a net. You're going to catch a lot more fish with a net. So even just that analogy and that image, it's just so true. Networking is not about me in the sense, it's not about you. It's about we. If you're approaching someone, what do you have to offer? It's not like you're going to call and shake them down for a job and whatever you can get out of them, that makes people feel used. So there is a logic and a process behind that approach, which we go into in other webinars. So this is just a quick tips, and I have some suggestions towards the end that you can gain more information on networking. Who do you know? Do you have children? Do you attend church? Do you have neighbors? Do your kids belong to groups? Do you belong to any sports? Like, who do you know? Who have you worked with in the past? Who are your bosses? Who are your previous coworkers? Have you made an official contact with those people? LinkedIn is perfect to get in touch with those kinds of people and just to get caught up on what's happening. And a lot of times we find that people who stay in touch with their colleagues and network with their colleagues during a job search tend to be more successful. Tap into everyone that you know. And if you don't know people, then maybe start to look around and see if there's, even going back to school on a part-time basis, even if it's online, chances are you will get to know somebody. And, it's hard to say right now what the future holds, but if you're going to network, this is the time to do it because everybody is sort of in transition or just starting to go back or who knows right now. It's more important, who knows you? How many people have you approached and said, hey, I'm looking for work. This is my background. This is who I am, even amongst friends. But we try not to use the word job. We try to use the word, hey, I'm looking for some information. Can you help me? People are far more willing to provide information than they are a job. Like that just slaps people right in the face. And it's like, if they don't know you very well, they're not going to be feeling comfortable. So you're not looking for a job. Even just that subtle way of changing your messaging and your language can make all the difference between being successful and not. So when you're talking to people, hey, hi, how are you? How are things going for you? Show interest, show sincere and genuinely listen to other people, and have an introduction, your pitch, your elevator. That's a cross between elevator pitch, peach. Sorry about that. Your summary, your elevator pitch, your pitch, whatever you call it. And it's going to change, and you don't want to sound robotic. But yeah, I really need some information. And one phrase that I find that really works well is if it's somebody that you want to approach, just say, you know what, I really value your advice. And if you could give me some information, I'd be really grateful. It's all in the approach and the finesse. And if you don't have that finesse and that approach, then it's going to be a hard run. You may not be able to get the kind of job that you're looking for. There are certain skills that are an expectation, again, from employers. Behave the way you would on a job. If you're an account manager and you can't pick up the phone and speak to an employer, you can't be a very good account manager because that's part of what you do every day. So demonstrate those everyday skills and pick up the phone and try to connect with people, or through LinkedIn. Facebook, personal and friends, yeah, but LinkedIn is the professional tool. And if you don't exist on LinkedIn, you pretty much don't exist. How can you leverage those people that you know to achieve success? Well, if you're going through a transition or you're talking to other people, you're going to hear about opportunities. You're on their radar, you stay in touch. It's a reciprocal relationship. Anything that you can do for them will return as well in kind, the favor. But it's not just me, and asking for what you want. It's a mutual benefit relationship. How can you get to know people? Well, who's on your team? Who's your references? Who's rooting for you? Do you have children? Do you go to church? Are you in school? What activities do you have? Even going back to school on a part-time basis in the evening would make some connections for you. So think in terms of who you know. And also remember, just because somebody is the corner store guy doesn't mean he doesn't have a huge network of people. Your dentist, your doctor, your physiotherapist, your accountant, bankers, people who know, real estate agents, people who know a lot of people, they can probably steer you in the right direction. But it's a two-way street and not a one-way street. So what changes are you willing to make? What does this say? Change, yeah. Opportunity is now here. So it's all in how we look at it. Pareto's principle, aha, another principle that I want you to look up, a theory. Pareto was an Italian philosopher, and he was doing land surveys in Italy to find out who owned land. And what Pareto discovered was it sorted into an 80-20 mix. 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the people. I know when I was in sale, so what does that mean? Well, it means, let me give you an example. When I was working in banking, certainly I had targets. I was doing business development, and more specifically, I was doing real estate, mortgages, and lines of credit, all that kind of stuff. But I was generating the business. So I dealt a lot with real estate agents and got referrals that way. And because I had to deal with the real estate agents, what I learned, I wrote out a list of all the real estate agents that I had that were under my wing. And I found that my top 20 producers created 80% of my business, and that the other 80% of my real estate agents only produced 20% of my results. And not only that, they were usually the most difficult real estate agents to deal with because they didn't have that many deals. So what I did was I decided to focus on the 20% more, and I actually ended up growing my business. My results were better by focusing in on the high achievers. Well, the same thing applies to you when you're job searching. You're spending, or why are you spending 100% of your time on something that nets a really poor result and represents the most competitive jobs, which is online jobs? 80% or more are in the hidden job market. And the only way you can access the hidden job market is through networking, getting on people's radar. Less than 20% of jobs are posted online and filled that way. Most postings are filled through external means, and postings is not the primary way to target jobs. You need to tap into the hidden job market. These are jobs that are never advertised. And also have a positive expectation. Networking can be fun. She's getting whacked over the head. Well, on the bright side, I was finally able to come in contact with a Louis Vuitton purse. This is never going to happen. Nobody's ever going to be that way. It depends on your approach, of course, but you need to be finesseful, and you need to know how to finesseful. You need finesse, and you need to be able to communicate. And again, searching online exclusively is a passive approach. We've got our little computer geek there. He's got his chips and his cola, his coffee, his little beanie cap, and he's just glued to the screen. It's pretty much the same as doing nothing. Doing nothing is very hard to do because you never know when you're finished. That's by Canadian Leslie Nielsen. And yeah, I've seen my dog in that position behind in the background, and they're in La La Land. They're just out cold. And if you're sitting in front of your computer all the time, you are out cold too, in the cold. So if your resume is falling into that black hole, it's telling you something. It's time to change. You don't hear anything back, or you're experiencing almost no feedback or contact from employers. The message is you need to change. Because it's a lot like the definition of insanity. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I like this little cartoon. Who was Albert Einstein? He invented pie. What flavor? Different pie. But he's got a lot of quotes. And in a nutshell, take controls. Start strategizing and planning your time. Schedule 3 weeks ahead. Schedule and prioritize. Use weekends to connect with people who can help you and start talking to people. And another thing to look up, I'm going to mention again, is The Secret. The Secret was the big thing a couple of years ago. Oh, The Secret, the book, and The Secret, the video. As I mentioned, I've been in this industry more than 20 years, and I was teaching The Secret 20 years ago. And the secret is quite simply the law of attraction. It is a universal principle. And it is that whatever we think or whatever we hold in our thoughts, our attitude inside, what we project to the world is what we're going to get back. So if you're angry at the world and you're out in the world and you're acting like you're angry at the world, chances are you're going to get angry at the world back. If you have no idea what you're targeting in the market and you aren't talking to people, you have no idea where you're going, haven't spent any time, you're in the dark. You don't know how to think, because if we want to attract something, we have to know what it is in order to be able to attract it. So it's all part of our messaging. The idea is I want you to look up the law of attraction, which is basically what The Secret is based on. It is a universal principle, and you must guard your thoughts, and stay positive during this time and know what it is that you are focusing on. You have to adjust your approach to the job climate. Yes, a lot of stuff is online, but that's not the only approach, even during these times. Are you on LinkedIn? Because we know a lot of activities happening on LinkedIn. So your job search tends to be, you have to do your research and you have to do your marketing. It's those two things working together. You have to be both a scientist and a politician. You have to know what's going on in order to access the market. This is climate change, but it's the same thing. You will always miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Thank you, Wayne Gretzky. That's a great quote. Ready, set, goal. Okay. What goals have you set for yourself? Don't have any? Have some? Set goals and plan your strategy. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. We have excellent recorded webinars on our website that you can access. We also have ongoing live presentations. Career Discovery is going to be happening. Usually I try to run it every 2 months, but keep your eye out for things that will help you. And believe me, you need our assistance. You're dealing with, I usually call it the fear factor. Fear standing for false evidence appearing real. And what that means is you have false evidence. You are working with false evidence. You think you know how to job search. You are incorrect. You are false. That's not true. So, false evidence appearing real. You need to change. You need to hear what we have to say, and you need to make some changes. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful, or otherwise you're not going to be as successful as you possibly could be. Know your job target. Know the title of the job that you are targeting. What is it called? You can't just be targeting anything. You have to be specific. I like this cartoon too. I always knew I'd amount to something. I guess I should have been more specific. That's for sure. So know your job title, know the industry, know the geography, know a lot before you even apply. 6 steps to job search. Well, you've got to identify your target, create a powerful marketing campaign, which includes your resume and cover letters, conduct in-depth research, network and interview other people, stay motivated and organized, and troubleshoot your job search as you're going through it. Identify the goal, make a plan, see if it's working. If it's not, then you're going to adjust. It is project management without an end date. It's project management until you get the job. So if you're a project manager, you cycle through and you keep cycling through all of those processes until you achieve success. Success is a job, and you don't stop until you achieve that success. 3 trends in the 21st century. These are new and emerging skills. This is a quote by Albert Toffler. Maybe there's another light bulb that you can look up. Albert said that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. We have to unlearn a lot of stuff that we've learned because times are changing all the time. And today's job search is characterized by these 3 emerging trends too. It's 24/7 activity. You don't have to conduct it 24/7, but you can. You have to have a very entrepreneurial approach. You have to be able to think on your feet. You have to be able to network. And it is a multi-generational workforce. So no ageism. You have to work with everybody. The 24/7 job search, you can draft your cover letters, your resume, a lot of things ahead of time. Research companies that you want to work for, pick up your top 10 companies and start connecting with people that you know on social media. Yes, you can do your job 24/7. You just don't want to necessarily. And remember, it's a minimum of 25 hours a week, and that's a minimum. You have to learn how to strike a balance, even during a job search, between that personal and face-to-face contact, or even on the telephone. The telephone is much warmer than any kind of internet or social media unless you're face-to-face. And you can meet face-to-face with Zoom and some of the other FaceTime or whatever. So you want to make a balance between that personal face-to-face time and the internet, social media, and contacting and connecting with people that way too. The entrepreneurial approach, the rise in social media gives job seekers the ability to brand themselves just the same way that companies used to. Job seekers are marketing their potential to companies as a brand themselves. This requires job seekers to develop branding, marketing, and sales skills normally associated with entrepreneurs. It also requires that you are much more savvy, probably than you currently are, at how to conduct an effective job search. The multi-generational workforce, there are 4 generations. Actually, there's 5. I can go through it because I think we now have Z in the workforce. So Z was 1995 to, it's usually about 15 years. So that would bring it up to, say, 210. They were born between then. Okay, so the ones that we're dealing with are Z. So it's anybody that's under 1995, they would be like 24, 25, 26. Anyways, there's a new generation coming up. They are Z. The Ys were born between 1980 and 95. Generation X is born between 65 and 80. Boomers between 45 and 64. Traditionalists are born before 1945. However, I would say that usually it would be traditionalists working in today's market would either be someone that's high up in an organization or a business owner themselves. And each generation grew up with different work expectations, with different ways of communicating. So what are the expectations for technology and communication styles at work? You are working with a multi-generational group, and everybody has to get along. This cartoon sort of talks about before, Mom, I'm just going out to play football. And nowadays, Mom, I'm just on the computer playing football. So that activity has changed so much with kids, and we have the Z's in there now. So these are all skills that we need related to communication. And we just need to make sure that if you're looking into a particular job, that you have all the skills, the communication skills that you need. Now, communication is an expectation of every employer. So as far as a weakness is concerned, you would never say communication. You would never say English. Never, never, never. The expectation is that you have the grasp of communication and language. If that's your weakness, it's not likely an employer is going to hire you. They're going to pass. So this is kind of a way of looking at it. This is courtesy of Lou Adler, the Adler Group, and it does actually sort of reinforce what we know from LinkedIn. You are in the middle, you are the initial connection, and people that you know are known to you and you can network are your first degree of people that you know. So at this point, being more structured in your first degree approaches to people. And what you are asking for when you are networking is contact names from the people that you know. You're having a discussion with them, and but you want to be able to tap into who they know. And then the second degree, you contact those people, and then you want to, engage a conversation with the third degree. It's usually at the third degree that people tend to be successful. Connections are important. By the time you get to a third degree, it's a cold call with a stranger, and yeah, you've got to get out there and network. But I would say really do some research or speak to me specifically for scripting or how you do this, or tons on the internet that you can look up on informational interviews. So before you leave today, I'm going to ask you to take that pen and paper out and just draw 10 circles on a page and fill in the circles with people that you know. On another page, draw 10 circles and start to fill in what companies need somebody with your skills. Who do you want to work with? That is the difference between putting your hand on the steering wheel and not. And just being passive, and that guy that's sitting in front of the black hole going nowhere in his job search. So identify 10 and 10 to start, and officially go through and start to connect with people. And monitor those companies and see what's happening. Do you know anybody in those companies? If we don't know who our network is of people, and we don't know who our network is of companies, how are we going to get anywhere? I might have a friend that, hey, I really want to work for Rogers. I have a friend that works at Rogers. So I'm not going to call them up and put them on the spot and say, have you got a job at Rogers? I just think that's just not the finesse of networking. It would, yeah. You might contact that person, you would deliver your elevator pitch, because sometimes, and send your resume, because sometimes even I'll show my resume to my brother and he'll say, I didn't know you did that. It's like people that are close to us, they don't always know what we're looking for or what we have in our background. Learn to get comfortable with cold calling. Look up informational interviews and get on LinkedIn. Use social media to find out how to get on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, better make sure it's a good one. You know, your summary, everything is in quality standard to what is out there and what the expectations are. So here are 5 things for you to do. Identify 10 people in your network, friends, family, coworkers, whatever. Identify 10 companies. It's not really cold calling, start contacting those people, conducting informational interviews, and use social media and LinkedIn. It's the way the world is right now. It's not going backwards. So we've reached the end of our presentation, and I'm going to introduce an action card. This is what our stops, starts, and continues would be. What will you be doing? Take a piece of paper and jot it down. You've received a lot of information. There's some real nuggets in there. What do you need to start doing? What do you need to stop doing? And what do you need to continue to do? Start? Well, I asked and put certain light bulbs up for you to do some research. I also wanted you to identify 10 companies that you want to work for. I also wanted you to identify 10 people that you can begin to network with. And right about now, you should be starting to look around for more information on networking and informational interviews, and also on networking. Yeah, but I was trying to think of in terms of strategy. What is your strategy? We've got some great things upcoming. If you're going through a career transition, don't forget to touch base with your employment specialist in your environment. As far as what you can start doing, identify your 10 companies, your 10 people, start scripting, start finding out more about informational interviews, hunker down and get serious. What are you going to stop doing? Well, stop procrastinating and stop, stop not moving forward. What are you going to continue doing? You do some great things. What can you move on to move forward? What can you continue doing? Your family relies on you. You're going for walks every day, you're eating well, whatever it is. What do you need to continue to do? If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. My name is Ann Mossop, and I'm at the Downsview location. Thank you so much for joining me and Next Steps. I hope that you've learned a lot today. I did give you some tasks to do some heavy lifting. So thank you. Obrigado. Merci beaucoup. Gracias. We'll see you soon. Take some time to reflect on what you did learn today. Thank you for attending today's session, and don't forget to give us an evaluation. Your attendance and then subsequent evaluation is important to us. You don't get credit for your attendance if you don't evaluate. So signing off, it's Ann Mossop. Have a wonderful day and happy networking.